Today, we're going to be talking about how self-love is so much more than quote unquote something nice for you to have, and how without self-love, we are unknowingly operating from shame. And instead, we're going to enter the gateway of love, which will lead you to the potential and possibilities within your heart. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey is to bridge both the emotional and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello, my strong, sensitive, spiritual soulmate friend. I'm so glad that you are back. And we've got another episode, and we are talking about love and how love is this gateway to the possibilities and potential that's within your heart. And so I really want to start with, first of all, breaking through this myth that love is all about rainbows and butterflies and it's something quote unquote nice for us to have, when really it's essential. It is so essential to every single aspect of life. And so it's kind of insane to me how we've been taught to put love in on the back burner or think it's something, again, nice to have, when it is crucial to you feeling a sense of fulfillment, a sense of ease, expansiveness, really you feeling your best. And that's what I want for you. And so I'm so excited you're here, because this podcast is for those of you who are strong, spiritual, and sensitive, because this episode may be a little challenging. I'm going to go into the areas of life when disempowered love takes the lead. And so I think this is really important, because I hate seeing beautiful, loving people who want to do their best kind of fall into these patterns. And so we're all trying to do our best. This is not a way of putting down us trying to do our best. I have such compassion for trying to do our best and yet feeling like you're getting nowhere. And to me, when I've been there, that has caused suffering, and I don't want that suffering for you. And so some people may hear what I'm about to share and be like, I can't take this. This is, too much for me to look at. But in the short term, you being able to just look at this with a lens of compassion, with a lens of understanding. I've done the best that I've known what to do with, and now I'm learning to do better, is going to allow you the power of love to see your life without judgment, but with what is the next step that will expand me into the greater expression of love that I am. So that's the invitation, is that we look at some of these pieces that might be hard to look at in the short term, so that you don't have to go through the suffering that I have gone through, and you can start to make these changes. You can choose love more quickly. And I really want to get into some of the ways that the ego can dig in its heels and make us, really stay stuck in a place, or contracts us out of fear, and makes us believe that controlling certain elements in our life will bring better outcomes, and really understanding how that control is based from fear. So much of this is really understanding that love is actually a skill. I know we're not taught that. We are taught that love is something from fairy tales and comes from rainbows and is easy peasy to implement. And really, love is a challenging skill. Love challenges us to our core because the ego is right there with our deepest fears, telling us why it's not safe to choose love. And so these are actually the myths that I'm trying to break through with you so that you can start to see through the ego's lies so it doesn't control you as much as it controlled me. And really, what was at the core of this for myself was shame. And I've worked with a lot of people around the world. And when they're operating from a place that they believe is love, but there's shame underneath, it's what I call disempowered love. And so we have these beautiful intentions, and those intentions are coming from love. But because of the aspects within ourselves that are clinging on to not being enough, that don't believe in our lovability, our reactions are based on fear. So we can have these loving hearts and be reactionary out of fear. And so that's what I want us to look at today. That's what I'm going to invite us to look at again through a lens of compassion, because we spend so much more time studying all sorts of things to make us quote unquote productive in the world and have a job and so forth, and we learn skills that we don't even apply, that we don't even know how to use. And really learning how to love at this level that is going to challenge you, is a skill where it's teaching you how to see through the fear and to give you a different response to fear that empowers you rather than be reactionary, and rather than unknowingly, unconsciously be basing your reactions from fear. And at the end of this, I'm going to share with you a way that I have a free upcoming master class, master workshop that's going to support you to make conscious some of these unconscious blocks that you might be going through. So again, lots of compassion, because I said that we go through all this schooling and training and with all these other skills, but push love aside and put it on the back burner and say it's something nice to have and it's soft and fuzzy, right? And B, the reason why to have compassion is because I'm telling you, I've worked with people all different continents, and we all go through this. This is part of our human experience where we forget and we buy into fear, and our human journey is the remembering. And so this episode is an opportunity to help you ease into more of the remembering so you can get it quicker than I did, and you don't have to stay stuck and suffering like I did. Okay. So the opposite of love is hatred, and that hatred of self is a fear that we're not enough, and that shows up as shame. And so I'm going to get very real about what a lack of love looks like in some of the most important areas of our lives, so we can see the difference of what disempowered love looks like and empowered love looks like. And this is a willingness to understand where love is blocked from you because you're a spiritual person, and it's your deepest desire to have love to continue to expand within you. I mean, that's the journey that I'm on. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's continue to see the ways that I can allow love to work through me. And of course, I get it. And I do so imperfectly. That is again, the topic that we always come back to. And I'm perfectly divine, because it stems from that belief that I thought I was so imperfect. I was broken, made wrong, had so much that I needed to fix and heal. And it's understanding all those challenges are designed to as a pathway to our remembrance. And so what tends to happen is we start off with a belief that we are weak and powerless. I mean, raise your hand if you think babies are pretty weak and powerless, right? I mean, I sure did. I'm raising my hand because we have this belief that, well, babies don't have power. They can't even feed themselves. They can't take care of themselves. And so we look at that, what that right there starts to do. We have this notion that if we're not doing things ourselves, then somehow we're powerless. And then we create this programming from within where we've got to do things on our own, and we've got to do things for ourselves. And there's certain things that we have to. But if you live your life feeling like it's all on you, you are disconnecting yourself from the love that you are, because babies, you are innately born with the power to have your needs met. And look at how babies crush their parents with demanding that their needs are met, despite not being able to feed themselves, not being able to have verbal skills to communicate with words. They know how to make signals, noise that grabs attention, that is basically like, you got to meet my needs and you've got to figure it out, right? And so that is born within you. And yet, if we hear stories that, oh, babies are powerless, I'm not able to do this by myself, that's besides the point. We are communal people. We're supposed to lean on each other, that it's a recognition that some people have certain skills over here, other people have gifts over here that are different than yours, so that we can lean on each other, learn from one another, and be able to create the expansion, the possibilities, the potential with greater ease because of one another. And so we first want to start to break down that myth that you are supposed to do things on your own. And that's a sign of strength and power, because let me tell you, most people that are struggling with burnout, with overwhelm, have that belief and they're not happy. And it leads to their suffering, because then it's like, I've got to figure everything out on my own. And that figuring out is going to come from your ego. And it's a disempowered love that's trying to guide you to better your life, but it's disempowered because it's coming from fear. So that's what I want to break down, is how we can see that love can still be there, but it's acting from this disempowered state because it's not expansive. And so what I want to do is give examples from some of the most important areas of our life, how we can be operating from this disempowered love state, how shame is usually at the core of it, and what empowered love looks like. Because sometimes we don't even know that it can be done a different way, or that there is another way, right? And it's like, and again, this is why we want to have so much self-compassion and honoring that you're here, that you're even listening, because there's some people that that's just not their focus. Their focus is on different things. And so there's nothing to shame or judge about them. It's just an honoring of you, that you want to make empowered love, expansiveness, and the ability to step into your potential and possibilities, something that's significant to you. And it honestly, it just makes me want to tear up, because you giving this to yourself is a ripple effect that you have no idea how it's going to impact others. But I'm going to tell you, and you're going to learn today, how it has a direct impact on children, your children, if you're a parent, how it has a direct impact on your relationship with a significant other. And it has, of course, a ripple effect through our work and how we show up with work, and so many other ways, activism. So I'm going to get into it all. But I want to start with our own selves and our relationship with our bodies, because we can be pretty abusive and judgmental towards ourselves and our bodies, and then this shows up in our health. And our bodies are such a sacred vehicle to express and experience love. And we forget that. And we're shown images of bodies of what we think our bodies should look like. And when we don't feel like we're measuring up to that, we can develop shame. If you're a very health conscious person, I've seen healthy people judge themselves when they get sick. And so it's really these ways in which we are unknowingly turning against ourselves that causes more harm to ourselves, again, unintentionally. And so when we do this, we have these judgments about our body and about our health. It can lead us to actually abusing our bodies and our health. And so we really want to understand that disempowered love with our physical bodies will make pleasure more important than health and long-term health. And so pleasure, we want pleasure to be part of our body's experience. That's part of the gift and joy of pleasure. And you are going to experience the most pleasure within your body when your body's healthy, when your body's working for you, when you feel energy and that your body can move and do the things that you want it to do. Now, of course, if you've had some sort of health problem or you're getting older, what have you, it's not to judge that either. It's to honor, like, hey, my body made it through an illness. My body continues to work for me as I get older. And how can I make sure that I'm balancing what my body needs along with the pleasure that my body is meant to experience? And so what I mean by this is that taste the pleasure in desserts or whatever you enjoy that may not be the healthiest for you. And here's the both and listen to your body that says, I've had enough. Like it's interesting how we've been taught to go to one extreme or the other, right? It's like I'm healthy, I'm not even going to look at the chocolate cake, or I'm going to go all out and have the chocolate cake and a gallon of ice cream. Like, it's like we're taught that these are the extremes and it's this middle ground because neither of those options are empowered love. It's not giving you pleasure and it's not giving you health. Too much restriction is not health if we're saying no to everything. And of course, if we overdo it and with unhealthy intake of food or drink, then we're not going to feel health. So what is that middle ground for you where you allow your taste buds to come alive while listening to your stomach that says enough already, right? And being able to tune into your body with a sense of honoring it for all that it gives you. This also means being willing to exercise, move your body, dance, and not feel like I've got to do this rigorous thing to lose weight because my body isn't enough as it is. Or you just don't do anything because, oh, I've exercised and I don't lose weight. Exercise and losing weight has nothing to do with it. We move our bodies to move our bodies because they need movement. They need that health and finding that middle ground again within our relationship with our bodies where we don't have to like do these grueling things to it to create health, but we're going to move it to awaken our bodies and making sure that it gets the blood flow that it needs so that it feeds our brain so that our brains can be expansive, loving, and into the potential rather than blood not circulating, not moving, and not energizing us, right? So love means being willing to step into these pieces that your mind says, I'd rather not. And you know that to take care of something, just as you are so good at, if you're a parent, taking care of your child. I've seen my dog lovers and cat lovers and how you are lovingly taking care of your little furry family and or your plants or whatever it is, and that you're giving yourself that same piece. You don't give your dog the whole bag of treats, right? It's like a little bit and they're excited and yay, right? Everyone's happy. We've got to find that middle ground with our relationship with ourselves. All right, that's body. Now let's move on to relationships because trust me, this one can be a blind spot, especially if you're someone who struggles with relationships. And I struggled with relationships. And it was really coming from this lack of self-love, deservedness, and because of that, shame of not being enough. And there was times where I would get in a relationship just to be in a relationship and settle for more than I desired. Now, you probably hearing this about me, you're probably like, yeah, that's not going to work out. Exactly. It never works out, right? But I've worked with couples all over the world. And what happens when we don't have a loving relationship with ourselves that says, you sensitive, strong, spiritual one, you deserve the best, the most amazing love to come in your life, and it is waiting there for you. And things are going to align at the perfect time for this to occur for you. And when we start to doubt that because no one is showing up, and or you like someone and they're not interested in you, that you start to take that on personally and think, oh, well, I'm not enough. Obviously, there's something wrong with me. I'm unlovable. And you get in a relationship where someone starts giving you that attention, but you know they're not the exact right fit for you, but you take it, that relationship, because some love is better than no love. And then we get into this problem where there's an unconscious desire for that person to make you feel the love inside of you that only you can give to yourself. And so, even though you love this person, it comes across as disempowered love to your partner. Because if you want them to quote unquote fix this part of you that feels unlovable, they literally nothing they can do that. And what happens is that you unintentionally will send the message to the other that they're not enough, that they're not doing enough, that they're always falling short. And then that person starts to believe there's nothing I can do to get this right. So I might as well just do whatever the heck I want, go on my own way. They kind of give up. And this is where, again, I've had relationships come to me saying, help, we've tried everything, but they haven't done the individual inner work to remember that the love that they are. And the difference from this empowered love is so different because we're leaving the blame because you're taking personal responsibility for your relationship, and that allows you to set boundaries with another in a way that you're not tolerating something that isn't working for you, but you're also not shaming the other person, right? You're able to set a boundary for the expansion of both of you. And it's felt so different within one another. The other piece is that this type of empowered love leads to a generosity where the ego no longer keeps score. And you know what I mean. If you've been in a relationship where your ego is keeping score, it's like, they took out the garbage and I did the dishwasher, but I did the dishwasher 5 days in a row and they only take out the garbage once a week. Like all this crazy stuff that the ego comes up with to start to create more and more of a disconnect because there's something going on that is disconnected from within you and that's making you disconnected within the relationship. Again, not to blame yourself, but again, how can I bring awareness to this part of me so that my shame doesn't start creating things to pick apart when really my ego has been picking apart the lovability within myself. And that's where we want to go in. So this love that is empowered, when both of you step into this is a love that leads to the deepening connection with another that occurs in mind and body and spirit and emotion that allows for this expansiveness. And trust me when I say, it's common for someone to say, well, I've been doing all this work and my partner isn't. Um, that's another way that the ego can get involved with blaming. And it's not to say that your partner doesn't need to step in, but there's a different way that is guiding you to know how to do this from a more empowered, expansive place. And this is where we want that love to guide us to the potentials and possibilities, because what happens within the relationships, we start to get into stories with our partner that takes away from the potential and possibility and goes into contraction about who the other person is. That is the ding, 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 the signal to say, okay, this is where I need to look within. Now, let's bring this back to parenting, because parenting, you're here, you're parenting, you are doing your best and have the greatest intention to give your best to your child. What happens with disempowered love? We love, but we want the best for our child, but it's coming from an unhealed place within us. So this shows up in two ways. If you have a shame that you're not enough based on the external, you may have this drive to push your kids to prove that they are enough on the external. So you feel like, oh gosh, I didn't go to college, or I didn't make six figures, and I that would have made me so happy. And it's too late for me, but I want to give it to my child. And so you push them and push them to go to college, or have this certain level of financial success, and yet that doesn't make them happy, right? And so what happens is that we unintentionally, because that love hasn't been resolved within us, it gets passed down to that child, because your child is now being programmed that the external is the way to receive a sense of being enough, and that not enough cycle will continue. So early on, when I was getting my degree in clinical psychology, I started off interning at a college where it was a feeder for a lot of doctors. And these college kids would come in burnt out, filled with anxiety, some depressed, saying, I don't even want to do this. This is what my parents want. And there was a knowingness within them, like, this is not going to make me happy, but how do I deal with my parents' disappointment? So whether you're someone that has gone on that path of trying to fulfill your parents' desires and know it's not a fit, the courage is to be able to say, this isn't going to work for me, and to expand into the love that's guiding you to something else, even when you don't know what it is. And this is what I'm telling you, that love is a skill, and love takes strength, because the easier thing to do in the short term is to just go along with it, right? Now, if you're the parent who's wanted your kid to be the doctor, be the whatever, because you fell short, it's never too late. It's never too late to say, I realize that I guided you in this direction, and are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Does this light you up? And if not, how can I support you to do something that feels more resonant for who you are? So, and I don't care how old your kid is, even you being able to say that to your 40-year-old could do immense healing to someone. Maybe they won't switch careers. And let's face it, if they've made it to that career in their 40s, then they're probably getting something out of it. But the point is that we're willing to go into the places to see where disempowered love took over, because it was our own shame and fears that were running us. Now, the other way I see parents do this, that's very common, is there's a shame that you're not enough, and it leads to you overdoing for your child. Now, there's such a beauty in wanting to give to your children. And wanting to support them, right? And this can come again. If you didn't feel supported, maybe you want to show up in a way that your kids know that they are supported. Beautiful, wonderful. Do that, especially when it comes to emotionally supporting them. But that's different than physically doing everything for them. And when you find yourself and you catch yourself doing all these little things for them, this tends to be your shame of not being good enough. And you're trying to prove to your ego that, no, I am good enough. I am a good enough mom. I am a good enough father. Look at all that I'm doing for my child. But that disempowered love state is doing it unconsciously at the stake of your own child's sense of being good enough. Because in you doing everything for them, they don't get to work through doing for themselves, even the little things. I mean, getting up and getting your own napkin, fork, putting your plates away, whatever it is, like hanging your coat up, I don't know, whatever it is, those little things teach children, you need to show up for yourself. You want a certain outcome, you want a clean house, you want a clean fork, you need to show up for yourself. So there's these ways that our disempowered love wants to prove, and it's at the cost of someone else, even though we don't intend it. And so if this is you, please have compassion, because I know that you have wanted to show your child love and start to create boundaries, that your love is about showing them emotionally rather than in the doing, and trust in them to start to handle these challenges. Let them work their way through it, because otherwise what happens is, if you're doing it all for them, then they have no other choice but to go to that external to try to prove themselves, because we're all looking to strengthen ourselves. Remember, this is part of our divinity, that we want to be a more expansive expression of ourselves. And if we can't do it in at home in the little internal ways and challenges of life, then I got to go out here. And when we look to the external to prove ourselves, we're always going to fail. At some point, we're going to fail. We're going to fall short. We're going to be led into more of a life of comparison. And then again, the cycle continues of not feeling good enough. So do not beat yourself up. This is the opportunity to just catch when you are doing, and rather than holding the space for your child to struggle, be challenged, make mistakes, and learn from it. And honor every time that you're able to do that for them and yourself, because what you're really doing in that moment is soothing yourself that you are enough just by holding that space. And that is an expression of love, rather than all the other ways that your ego tries to tell you that you've got to do in order to be enough, right? Because we want to model that parenting can be joyful, powerful, loving, connective, despite all the challenges. And let me tell you, I've had my share of failures with the kids and them driving me bananas and so forth. But we can repair these ways that disempowered love came through by being able to be vulnerable and share with whatever stage that they're at. Again, 7, 17, 37, doesn't matter. We can have these conversations that really honors our experience, and that's honest with our experience, where your intentions were coming from and what you've learned to do better, to do different. That is coming from more of an expansive expression of love. Any stage. And I'm not just saying this. I've worked with like mother-daughters, mothers in their 70s repairing with daughters in their 50s and so forth. Like, it's never too late for this. So honor yourself. You're listening. You're willing to take this in, even though it takes courage, and honor your courage for this emotional piece that, again, we've been taught like love comes in fairy tales, and it's not a skill. And that's why I'm saying you actually taking in this episode and that this is a skill and wow, this is I thought love was love and there's actually this disempowered love and there's an empowered love. Holy cow. You doing this will create ripple effects. And this is just one example with parenting. Now, with work, if we're coming from a disempowered state, we can be overworking, trying to prove ourselves because we think we're not enough. There's the beauty and not enough. There it is. It's always there, guiding us to look at the ways that our ego is trying to prove ourselves does not work, right? Like you could work 80 hours and your ego will be barking at you saying, yeah, well, you still didn't finish this. There's still that to do. Oh, you didn't do well on that project, whatever. The ego is never going to be satisfied. So we have been divinely designed in this way to prove how that doesn't work. Now, if you're stubborn like me, you keep going back to the ego ways until you're suffering. But I don't want you to be stubborn like me. I don't want you to suffer. That you can understand how these disempowered ways are impacting you. So you're overworking, there's a lack of boundaries, you're going to have burnout, and you're basing your identity on your work, on your role, on your success, on how much money you make. And whenever we base our identity something outside of ourselves rather than the love that we are, there's going to be stress because we can't control those external elements. Versus when you show up to your work from a place of love and knowing the love that you are, there's a joy in sharing your gifts and sharing your talents and sharing what you're good at. And when you need a break, you take a break because your whole identity isn't based on certain performance. I mean, there's deadlines, great. But even if there's a deadline, like, hey, I need 5 minutes just to like give myself this sense of knowing and remembering that the love that I am is the most important piece. And we can do that just despite, the deadlines. We can, when we're coming from empowered love, we can delegate and do so with people that are better at certain skills or just as good at certain skills. And we can lean more into possibilities when we're challenged. And that's where it can become fun. That's where I'm learning to make challenges more fun. Like, okay, what are the possibilities here? What's the universe trying to guide me with here, right? Now, here's another important piece that I don't think we look at, but is so crucial because when it comes to being an activist, and there's something that you're passionate about, a cause that is so deep to your heart, to your being, and we start to come from a place of activism that is coming from disempowered love, it's not good because the thing that you are so passionate about and want to change and want to make an impact in the world will not be received when it's coming from disempowered love. And here's why. Disempowered love towards a cause will tell people what they should think, what they should do, and they shame them if they think or do differently than you do. And the message creates divisiveness. And even when your intention is for the greater good, that it doesn't go anywhere. You're just bumping into a wall. You keep hitting your head against the wall. It's not going to go anywhere because it's a disempowered, often angry state. And I get it. There are things to be angry about, but there is disempowered anger and there's an empowered anger. And so we want to step into that empowered anger. Otherwise, you're going to keep throwing stones in your path, tripping yourself up, banging your head against the wall, and end up burned out. So activism that's coming from love is an invitation. It's an invitation for those who are ready, that for those who resonate with your message, that there is another possibility in order to create change, and that through this community effort, we can make a bigger impact in the world. And it's understanding that not everyone's going to have the same cause as you, and you don't judge them if they're not in line with this cause. You don't say that there's something wrong or lacking about them. You understand, hey, they've got a life, they got different focus, and maybe their activism will activate at a different time in their life. You don't judge because you understand people are allowed different opinions. They're allowed to go through their life in a way that is working for them and allowing them their own journey of uncovering when something is working and when something isn't. And so this frame of love provides you with greater strength to give to what matters in your heart in a way that is expansive, inviting, inclusive, and allows your energy to have more of a ripple effect towards what is most important to your heart. And then passion, I will lastly say really quickly, when it's coming from disempowered love, there's this sense of I need to find my passion. And we might even try to chase finding our passion. And when we do that, that's coming from not enough. Like, I'm not enough as I am. I don't have a passion versus I am enough as I am. And I'm going to allow myself the space, the time, the love to allow passion to find its way back to me, to find passion to come through me. How does it want to work through me? Because we all go through cycles in life where it's a time to go within and we're meant to work through some elements and aspects of ourselves on a more individual level. And then once those are worked through, we rise again into these more passionate states that we're able to give more energy outwards. And so we're allowing that ebb and flow. We're allowing passion to work through us rather than I got to chase it, I got to figure it out, I got to find it, which is your ego just going bananas and not coming from an empowered love state. So take this all in. And I hope you're just like, wow, wow, there, these expansive states of love can lead to so much more of the types of experiences that I want. And so being able to choose love in the short term is a skill that I can practice, that I can learn, that I can step into. And leading a life of love is about committing to greater ease and joy in the long term, because let me tell you, in the short term, what comes up is the fear, the shame, and your ego taking over that there's no way you can let go of control and choose love, because that's what it feels like to the ego. You're letting go of control. And when you let go of control, everything falls apart. First of all, if anything falls apart, it was meant to fall apart because it wasn't working for you on some level. Second of all, the ego will be there tormenting you. That if you dare to loosen your grip on something that you so want, your life will, you'll never have in life what you want. And the opposite is true, because the opposite is trust and faith. The opposite is leaning into potential and possibility rather than scarcity, lack, and settling, and having a tolerance for what does not truly work for you. And so it takes a lot of courage to face that and give up what's known for the unknown. And that's the skill of love. I'm going to see, and I'm going to be honest with myself that this isn't working for me. That the way that my ego is trying to cling on to something, it's not working for me. And I'm going to step over here into the potential and possibility, and guess what's there? Emptiness, nothingness. And you have the love within you that says, and yet I know that is the exact next step into the potential and possibility that awaits me. And so that's why this is a skill that is for the courageous, that is for those that really want to go on this path of love to see what possibilities and potentials await. And what I'll tell you is that there is so many areas of your life that this will unfold in ways that are so much better than you could ever expect. And again, it's about creating a life with greater ease, joy, healthy pleasure, and expansiveness. So if this is something that you are intrigued about, that you're ready for, you're ready to open yourself up to more possibilities, you want to see if there's ways that disempowered love may be keeping you stuck. I've got exciting news for you because I've got a free workshop that is going to do just that. So this is called the Chakra Reboot. And this workshop is using the chakras as an internal map to help you discover where emotions aren't fully processed, where there's beliefs holding you back, and how we can start to shift that energy. Now, this isn't about a magic wand. This is about helping you to identify where this disempowered love is, what is at the root of it, so that you can start to make, so you know really what your next steps are to help you start to turn the volume over and up with love, and really turn the volume down to the fear, the shame, the not enough. So if you want to join this free workshop, which I highly encourage you to do, go to the show notes. I'll have the link in the show notes, or go to my website, michellebersell.com. It's Michelle with 2 L's, Bersell, B as in boy, ERSELL.com. And there'll be a gold banner linking you to the workshop. It's happening this week, so this is the time to take action, to not let your ego find excuses that you'll do it later. Do it now. Sign up now. And I will see you inside the Chakra Reboot. Now, as always, and especially with this episode where we're looking at some of the ways that shame and fear, our ego has perhaps taken us off course. Remember, please, that's our human journey. That's been my human journey. That's been the human journey of every human I've gotten to work with. And there's nothing wrong with you. Any so-called quote unquote mistakes happening from a disempowered state are there to support you to eventually choose love. And when you are ready to choose love, you choose it. And that's when things start unfolding different for you. And that's what I desire for you. So remember, there is nothing to prove. There's nothing to fix. Just to remember within you. Remember the love and the empowerment and possibilities within you. I'm so grateful for our connection. Please share this with someone where it may help them to get unstuck, because they can, with compassion, see a stuck state, even though they were coming from love and intention of love, that it may be disempowered, to help them see the possibilities of what empowered love can mean for them. Again, I'm so grateful. I hope to see you in the Chakra Reboot. And until next time, I'm sending you so much love. Take care.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual, and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.